I am Jim Collison, live from our virtual studios around the world. This is Gallup's Theme Thursday, Season 6, recorded on June 18th, 2020. Theme Thursday is a Gallup webcast series that dives deep into the CliftonStrengths themes, one theme at a time. This season, based on developing teams and managers with CliftonStrengths, and today's theme is positivity. If you're listening live, love to have you join us in our chat room. There's a link right above me there in the window there on our live page. You can take you to YouTube. Join us in the chat room. If you have questions after the fact, send us an email, coaching@gallup.com. Don't forget, subscribe there. On YouTube, right below Micah, right there is a little subscribe button. You can click and subscribe. That makes sure you get notified every time we do something new. Or search Gallup Webcast on any podcast platform, and you will find us there. Micah Librant is our host today. She's a senior workplace consultant, my best friend at work. And Mike, it's always great to see you. Welcome back. Theme Thursday.
Pretty great to hang out with you, Jim, and good to be here. So this season, we're exploring every theme through the lens of team. And we know from our studies in leadership that strong teams have 5 things going for them. We're going to use these 5 truths today as we get into the detail of positivity. We're going domain by domain this season. And so we're in the relationship building domain. And it's been pretty fun to just get to stick to the domain for a while. I feel like it's teaching us quite a bit. In fact, I led a session this week where somebody said, what does it mean if I've got some themes in the domain really high and some in that same domain really low? And the answer that I offered was, well, it just changes the flavor of how you do what it is suggesting that domain does. So I hope today you can lean into positivity and understand how positivity builds relationships, or what positivity brings to your team beyond just, oh, they're a people person. So let's look at the short definition of positivity. If you have dominant positivity, you have contagious enthusiasm. You are upbeat and you can get others excited about what they're going to do. The first truth of a strong team that we're going to explore positivity from is how strong teams deal with conflict. It's that conflict doesn't destroy them because strong teams focus on results.
I think positivity gets maligned sometimes by folks when it's the happy-go-lucky, right? When it's the party goer. Those aren't generally necessarily talents that lead to success. They could be, I guess, if you're throwing a party. But it's as we think about this and this idea of focusing on results, Micah, I think it's really, really important. How do we look at positivity and see results in it?
Good use of maligned, first of all. 10,000 point word, Jim.
Well, you said bestoke or something. Bespoke in the other.
In individualization. No, I think, positivity can be a megaphone that says, hey, let's all be excited about this. But it can also be like a stage whisper. It can be the, you've got this, or how are you, or I believe in you and enough to want to elevate your mood. And so I loved what you said, Jim, that it's not just that happiness does not equal positivity. It's that happy-go-lucky party thrower does not necessarily equal results. And so positivity, just like the 33 other themes, exists because our research suggests it's been natural patterns of behavior that have led to positive performance. So when you think about what does that mean for focusing on results, someone with dominant positivity is on the lookout for what is energizing or joyful or cause for enthusiasm around those results. They can help others see the enjoyment, even in a challenge, the potential to have fun in the process, even when it seems difficult. I think about positivity almost like embedded engagement. We're always looking in organizations that we look for of how can we make work a place that everybody can't wait to come to. Positivity approaches life that way as well. How can I infect this space with some enthusiasm that feels magnetic, that creates a space that other people want to be a part of? So inspiring results to someone with positivity are likely those that are going to make an obvious elevation of the emotion of the team. So they'll be most excited about goals that relate more directly to improving the human experience or the energy of other people. You can even just ask them, if you've got someone with high positivity on your team, ask them how their current priorities inspire or motivate or otherwise change other people for the better.
Lisa says it in the chat room, why dwell on the negative, right? I think a good slogan for those with positivity. How does positivity track progress?
They might track people they've influenced or situations that they've offered a lightness or a joy to, they'll look for opportunities to celebrate along the way toward a win. So tracking progress for positivity is sort of looking out for, this almost sounds like achiever. Achiever's looking for milestones to say we did this, and to check it off the list. Positivity is looking for opportunities to celebrate or recognition moments. And these are important. They provide a boost of energy even to people without positivity to really keep going. They're sort of like the touch home base moments, both for the person with positivity and for the people around them.
Truth number 2.
Strong teams prioritize what's best for the organization and then move forward.
So how does someone with positivity focus on a larger goal or purpose rather than just their own?
When it comes to connecting to what's best for the organization, someone with positivity can have almost a mission moment feel to them. They look for why what's best about the organization or what's best for the organization will influence other people in a good way. Maybe the people who work there, maybe it's the community that they're in, maybe it's the industry that they're representing. They can see those organizational goals as opportunities to inspire, to motivate, or to celebrate. And that makes those goals really rich with potential for someone with positivity. I also noticed in the chat that Laura says, where'd it go? It's really important to remember positivity is a relationship building theme. Yeah, absolutely. So I think about this. Not long ago, we talked about developer, another relationship building theme, which is focused on the growth of other people. Positivity is focused on the emotional state of other people. It's about how can I set the tone so that others feel this kind of contagious enthusiasm that I also feel.
Yeah, in previous seasons, we've talked about these themes as me and we, and it's very powerful internal, but it's also powerful externally as we think about its effect on teams. We'll talk about today. What inspires someone with positivity to maybe take action?
Being around other people, noticing the humor in a situation and a way to share it. An awareness of potentially negative or really emotionally charged situations. And with that awareness, maybe the idea of how they can elevate the emotion of people there so that good work can happen, not just so that people are happy, but so that they can. I think people with positivity understand that more innovation happens, more trust happens, greater productivity happens when we can breathe a little bit easier, and they have the ability to lighten your load and help you be able to do that. I would say positivity does have this desire for joy, but it's about shared joy. It's about the joy that creates connections people to people. Like Laura said in the chat, it's a relationship building theme. And somebody with positivity knows that bringing this to others serves them well and serves the ultimate goal very well.
Yeah. And remember, we can have moments of joy with tears and resolve, right? And so it's not just always not laughing. Let's look at truth number 3.
So this is members of strong teams are as committed to their personal lives as they are to their work.
And how does positivity show up in someone's personal life?
I think they always know just how to be there to let the light in, to inspire hope, to elevate your emotion. Positivity, we've said this, I think, pretty overtly today. It's not about being loud or bubbly. It might show up as someone who throws an excellent party, but it also might just be someone who writes a note or expresses gratitude meaningfully in the moment that it's needed. Positivity might also show up purely as fun. I mean, it might be somebody who you notice is always up for a goofy challenge, inviting joy and hope, telling stories, sharing good humor. It might be that person who you find yourself looking toward when things feel too heavy. And it's not looking toward them to be a clown. It's looking toward them for the release that they can offer.
And genuine, right? We may be looking forward to that encounter, to that engagement, because it lifts us up.
Yeah.
So what questions could a manager use, knowing this, to ask someone with positivity?
What are you celebrating? What should we be celebrating? What makes you hopeful? What do you notice that's inspiring or motivating? What are you enjoying most lately? How are you sparking joy or hope this weekend? And what's something fun that's going on?
And then, so let's look at number 4.
Yeah. Number 4 acknowledges the fact that when we all come from different places, we bring different perspectives, and that difference benefits the team. So it's that strong teams embrace diversity. Your Clifton Strengths themes are not enough to solve for diversity, but what we're using here is the idea that let's name positivity for what's different, what's diverse about it. What does it bring that no other theme might?
And what are a few descriptor words that we could use for it?
You could say the person on your team with high positivity is joyful, hopeful, calm. There's a lightness about them, an infectious energy. They can light up a room. Glass half full mentality. That might be, I don't know, a colloquialism, but it is about seeing opportunity more than they're seeing limitation. Optimistic, resilient, supportive, and encourager.
And what unique perspective does positivity bring to a team?
Even when times are really dark and tough, someone with positivity can see what can be good. They might find this through humor. They might also find it through patience, or even through just a silence that isn't rattled. There's something contagious about their desire to and ability to celebrate other people. Laughter matters to them, joy matters. And someone with positivity brings this to the team by the truckload.
Okay. Truth number 5.
Number 5, our final of the 5 truths, is strong teams are magnets for talent. Another way to spot a strong team is to look for the one that everyone's clamoring to be a part of.
And this may be a no-brainer, but what does positivity attract? How does it attract?
Yeah. Who wouldn't be attracted to positivity? Wink, wink. Their optimism and joy, I think, helps people exhale a little bit. It makes it seem like your load isn't as heavy as it was alone. Now, at times, someone on your team with positivity can get so good at providing this, at helping shoulder the loads of other people, by building a scaffolding of hope and joy that you feel it when they're not there. So they lighten the mood. They create a space, as I mentioned, for innovation to happen, for problems to get solved. They lead with, it'll be okay. Or, hey, here's what's good about this. And that can help everybody pause just long enough to sort out what needs to be done next.
And how might you describe that gift that positivity brings to a team?
I call it fun. And I might stop right there. But it's also joy, celebration, energy, not naivete, just a intentional and repeated choice to focus on the positive and what can be, and focus on seeing the glass as being half full.
Yeah, in an authentic way, easier I think to think than to say, but doing it authentically. Review those 5 for me.
You said authentic twice. I think it's worth saying again. I think sometimes people try to put on positivity, or to say be positive as something that applies to everyone. When we're talking about positivity as a strength, and when you encounter somebody who truly has this as a natural pattern of how they think and feel and behave 24 hours a day, you have the gift of realizing how it feels when it's real. So I think that sometimes positivity gets maligned, Jim, or gets misunderstood because so many people try to think about it as a behavior that they can adopt. And we can all be a little bit more positive for sure, but somebody with positivity, it's not just a behavior, it's how they're thinking, it's how they solve problems. It's not something they turn on or turn off. And I think that's where the genuine piece of it comes from.
Review those 5 again.
Thanks.
For us.
Results, not conflict. Do what's best for the organization and then move forward. Work and personal lives matter. Embrace diversity. Magnets for talent. If you're a coach, I hope you read Strengths-Based Leadership to learn more about this, and then think about using this as you're evaluating a team. It's not enough just to map your team grid and say, here's our strengths. These 5 give you a jumping off point to say, what are we really good at? Why are we good at it? And what could we maybe make as our next step for desiring how we want to get better.
Yeah, we've been spending some time this season working through these talent mindfulness exercises. You got a great one for us here, Micah. What do you have?
This one's really good. It's also a little bit heavier. So this is talent mindfulness, and this is a practice for you regardless of your talent profile. It's not about positivity as a theme, although you might hear a trend to it. Strengths-based development is not just about taking the assessment and having new and better and fancier words to describe yourself with. It doesn't change you until it's something you incorporate into your life on purpose. That means paying attention to what's working. That means mindfully addressing challenges. It also just means breathing. Breathing with an awareness that you have what it takes to succeed. So the next 3 to 5 minutes are not going to make you more positive. They are going to be a break from the rhythm of your day. Set your intention to this. I grant myself the permission to be present and thoughtful for just a few minutes today. I turn down the volume of the world around me and I am still. Now take a deep breath in. And when you're ready, a big, sloppy, reckless exhale. Drop your expectations, unwrinkle your eyebrows, release your shoulders. Set down anything heavy that you might be carrying. We're talking today about pain. Pain is a part of life. Suffering, challenge, hurt, it's a human experience. Even on a softer scale, pain can look like stress, like frustration, like confusion, like discomfort. And it can be a sneaky thing. It can be something we pile on and accept throughout the day, something we carry with us and gather, collecting discomfort like little pebbles in our pockets. Take another deep breath in, and this time hold it at the top. Allow holding your breath to feel uncomfortable. And when you exhale, imagine emptying your pockets of anything you're carrying, any of those pebbles of discomfort. Release that pain just for a while, but don't forget about it. Learn from it. Allow the discomfort to change you. My son's preschool class recently had baby chickens. They raised them in an incubator. They learned all about the process of what was going on within the shell. And then I got to watch the process of those baby chicks as they hatched out of the eggs. I can't imagine there was anything comfortable about that for the chick. The shell that kept them safe, protected, that grew them and helped them stay contained had to be broken through, shattered with their face. Fear is a lot like a shell around us. Fear that we can't survive the pain of breaking through it, or that our future won't be as comfortable or as promising or as fun as the nostalgia of our past. Breaking through that shell takes pain. It takes courage. Today, I hope you have the courage to break through the shell of what you thought was enough, what you thought was normal. Because outside of that, there is an entire world of potential just waiting for you to shake off the gunk and spread your wings and take up space. Within you, there is strength. Weakness, we know, can be understood and mitigated to a point, but when we focus on strength, the potential to learn and grow and improve is infinite. To get there, it takes some comfort. Maybe you've been feeling some discomfort. Maybe you've been feeling some pain. That pain could be you breaking through to something even better. You have to be brave enough to feel it. It takes a lot of courage. If it was easy, everyone would do it. It's not. That's why we call it excellence. That's why we talk about strength as being remarkable, as being world class. Think right now about one conversation you could have this week that breaks through the shell of what was into the world of what can be. Who will you talk with? What will you ask? How will you listen? There's a big, wide world of greatness just waiting for you. And that's your talent mindfulness today.
Not as heavy as I thought it was going to be, but really good. Thanks for sharing that with us. I think it's it's for what's going on right now in June of 2020. I think it's just a good message. And so encourage you, if you maybe were chatting too much in the chat room during that time, maybe go back and catch it again. We record all this for you and it's available. A couple reminders before you go. One, best way into all the resources we have available for you. I just got an email from somebody this week who had been gone for a while, was coming back. Where do I go? Well, you go to gallup.com/CliftonStrengths. You can sign into access from there. It takes you right to your strengths dashboard. A great way, and a lot of great resources, including some awesome ones, by the way. Worldwide launch of a pretty cool video coming for those listening live, coming tomorrow during Dean's Call to Coach. So you just might want to be there. You can follow all those things and all that we do out there, gallup.com/CliftonStrengths. Sign up for the newsletter while you're there. It's at the bottom of the page. We'll send you out a monthly update of everything that's going on here in the strengths world. If you have questions, send us an email, coaching@gallup.com. If you want to follow us on Eventbrite and know all the live events are happening, because live is more fun, right, Micah? Live's more fun.
Oh, it's way more fun to be alive.
Totally more fun to be live. Join us live. Do that, gallup.eventbrite.com. To create an account, follow us there. You'll get a notification. This morning when I posted the strategic thinking domain episode that's coming up, we had 40 people register for it in the first 30 minutes. So you could do that as well. You could be first. Don't miss it. Get that done. If you want to join us on Facebook, facebook.com/group/call-to-coach. If you want to join us on LinkedIn, search Clifton Strengths Trained Coaches, and we'll get you in that group as well. I want to thank you for joining us today. A smidgen of a post show here at the end. Again, life's more fun. We'll see you next time. With that, we'll say goodbye, everybody.